Lastly, we're going to touch on the scandal involving the Los Angeles Clippers.
Man,
So
oh,
apparently, it has been revealed that allegedly the Clippers attempted to circumvent the salary cap and pay Kawhi Leonard even more money than what his contract is by giving him like $28 million via his employment with some tree brokerage that has literally, I'm not making this up, tree brokerage that has since went belly up. Said tree brokerage company called Aspiration is now bankrupt. And it was the bankruptcy that revealed this scheme because when things, when a company files for bankruptcy, documents get released and become public record. And so there were some discrepancies in terms of the ledger and people on the payroll, including $28 million being paid to, the silent assassin Kawhi Leonard himself. And so there's an investigation that is going to be open to see to what level of corporate malfeasance that took place involving the Los Angeles Clippers. The Los Angeles Clippers and how they handle Kawhi Leonard's contract situation. So this says NBA reportedly hires law firm that investigated Donald Sterling for a Kawhi Leonard Clippers scandal. The NBA has reportedly hired the same law firm that investigated former Clippers owner Donald Sterling to look into the endorsement scandal involving Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. A source with direct knowledge of the situation told The Athletic that the league has enlisted the services of law firm Watchell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz to investigate the allegations that the NBA player and current Clippers owner, Steve Ballmer, cheated the salary cap with a $28 million tree company endorsement. Watchell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz previously investigated Sterling and ex-Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver, who both faced misconduct charges before the end of their times with their respective teams. Leonard and Ballmer's alleged misconduct came to light during a recent episode of Pablo Torre Finds Out. Torre was joined by Amin Al-Hassan and David Sampson to talk about their investigation into Leonard's mysterious deal with tree brokerage company Aspiration. Back in March, Aspiration filed for bankruptcy and listed one of its creditors as KL2 Aspire LLC, a company that Leonard is listed as a manager of in an August 2025 filing with the California Secretary of State's office that was viewed by Complex. Though Torre confirmed that Leonard's company was listed as a creditor for $7 million, the player never publicly endorsed Aspiration. NBA executives were suspicious of how Steve Ballmer's Clippers landed the most valuable free agent on the market, Kawhi Leonard, Torre said about Leonard joining the team back in 2019. Torre and company claimed that Leonard signed a $28 million no-show job endorsement deal with Aspiration. Suspiciously, they continued, Ballmer had given $50 million in funding to the company, and Leonard's deal, which was effective from April 2022, was contingent on him remaining with the Clippers. It was to circumvent the salary cap, the reporter said, noting that Leonard's agreement with Aspiration was the single largest sponsorship deal the company made. It completely eclipsed every other agreement, they added, saying that Leonard evaded all press about the deal. He didn't have to do anything. In a statement, the Clippers denied the allegations. Neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the salary cap or engaged in any misconduct related to Aspiration, the team wrote. Any contrary assertion is provably false. Provably false.
Right.
So here is Steve Ballmer going on the record on ESPN. Was this ESPN?
I think so.
Okay. So Steve Ballmer talked to Ramona Shelburne on ESPN to go on the record about the fact that he was actually conned, right? So Steve Ballmer is saying he was led astray, bamboozled by this company who took him for a ride.
Interesting.
And that the Clippers, in fact, unknowingly were victims of this same scheme. So here is Steve Ballmer trying to clear the air on what happened here.
Documents, and in Pablo's podcast, they reported it was 28 million.
Pablo's podcast, I don't know anything about the court documents on this. I haven't seen them, and I don't know. I'm not trying to be, I don't know. I really don't know. But the speculation is what it is. And why did they do that?
It's a lot of money. I mean,
That's a
28
lot of
million,
money.
7
That's a
million a
lot of
year is a
money.
lot of money for
You-
a guy that you didn't actually require to do anything.
I don't know why they did what they did, and I don't know how different it is. I really don't. And frankly, any speculation would be crazy. These were guys who committed fraud. How would I be able? Look, they conned me.
You're one of the richest men in
They
America.
conned me. I made an investment in these guys, thinking it was on the up and up, and they conned me. At this stage, I have no ability to predict why they might have done anything they did.
Wow.
That's a hell of a con. They got you out of $50 million, bro. That's a hell of a con, man. They got this man, the richest owner in all the sports. Did you know that?
I knew he was up there. I didn't know he was the richest.
The literal richest, like richer than all of those football guys. He's the number one richest guy in all the sports, which is insane. But yeah, so this guy, apparently sharp as a tack, according to him, was taken for $50 million by this company. I don't buy that, but what say you?
Man, when I first saw the clip of him saying that he got conned first, I had zero context. Never heard of Pablo's podcast before in my life. So I'm just seeing this clip and I'm just watching him squirm up there. He said, I got conned. If anybody got, I'm like, I don't know what you're lying about, bro, but you lying about something. So then, yeah, I went into the weeds, did a little digging, man, and I found out the scam. And when I heard how, now sophisticated is a strong word, but when I say sophisticated, I mean that this seemed well thought out from the context of we're going to pay you more, and this is how you pay an athlete more. And so I was like, oh, wow, I never thought that a team would do. Now, we used to talk about it back in the day. This is back late 90s, early 2000s, where, there'd be conversations in our house whenever we're talking about basketball, sports, or whatever, and they're saying that they're paying that person under the table. Yeah, they're paying him more to be under the table or whatever. And we didn't, I'm just, under the table, guys. But now that I saw this situation, I was like, oh, these guys do be getting paid under the table. And it's through stuff like this. And now it clicked. And I was like, you know what? It doesn't end with Kawhi. It didn't begin with Kawhi. This has been going on. So to me, what this has unearthed, and I don't know whose responsibility it was to maintain that shell company, but for that to go under and for this to be eligible for investigation is a big faux pas. And I'm pretty sure that there's other people that are in that circle that do these things that are going, what the hell were you thinking? If you're one of the richest, how did you allow that to happen? And so, yeah, man, he messed up. How thorough will this get? Who knows? But since everybody knows about it, I wouldn't be surprised if an example is made. But as far as it goes now, because even when I saw this, I was like, why would you get on ESPN and lie like that in front of everybody?
For real.
But then I was like, well, this isn't the court of law. So he's not on the stand. So I think his idea was getting ahead of this in a PR fashion to let everybody know. And I can lie all I want because I'm not in court, which is very true. So he can say whatever the hell he wants on ESPN. But I still thought that was quite odd. But all in all, I'll say this because I saw another clip of that Pablo guy that did the initial investigation. He was talking to Mark Cuban about similar things. And Mark Cuban was like on some stuff where it was like, hey, look, man, people say, yes, we're smart. We've got all this money. But there were some things going on at the Dallas Mavericks that I didn't know was going on. It's like, hey, what are you talking about? So he was basically caping. So then the Pablo guy stopped him, got into the weeds of the details of this situation. He said, well, how can he not know that? And then again, Mark Cuban doubles down like, hey, man, look, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes things go on, when you're running these organizations that you don't know what's going on. Sometimes you just sign your name here and all this other stuff. So then I'm like, and then I went in the comment section and people say, yeah, people don't want them to look into his deals that he had with Dirk or his deals that and I was like, you know what? This has been going on. Not to say that any of that stuff's true. It's all projection and people assuming things, but I think that this is a deep rabbit hole where people want to go start digging enough. So all in all, I think whoever was in charge of that shell company,
sloppy.
It's very sloppy work. Very sloppy work. I'm not mad at Kawhi. I'm pretty sure this is again something. I'm pretty sure LeBron's running around with endorsements and things that he's got going on to keep him in LA. So I'm not going to test Kawhi. He was just doing his thing and getting a free check. So, but my thing is for whoever was being sloppy about this. Right. And I'm not even mad at the owner because I think this is something that they all do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was just playing part of the game that nobody really knew about until some nosy MFer went around and digging. So, but what are your thoughts, man, on Sterling's his name, right? Running around here.
Steve Ballmer.
Oh, Sterling was the old guy.
Yeah, Sterling was the racist.
He was the bigoted racist. What do you think about this Ballmer guy, man, out here getting possibly found out for paying Kawhi under the table? What are your thoughts, bro?
I can see a scenario in which he is saying he doesn't know and he's telling the truth, but that's because the organization sets up an infrastructure that insulates him from knowledge so that he can take advantage of plausible deniability.
Yes,
So is he still liable and responsible? Yes, because they purposefully kept the information away from him.
Correct.
With him knowing that they were doing that so that he can engage in plausible deniability. Correct. So it's either that or he is legit lying and he knew and he's saying he didn't know. But like you, I think they'll make an example out of this. He doesn't care about, like you said, he doesn't care about going on ESPN and not being truthful because he didn't break law. No laws were broken here. Right. This is just NBA stuff that was violated. Correct. So you're breaking NBA rules, but it's not subject to anything criminal or nothing like that. Correct. So it's whatever the NBA can find out and determines whether it's punitive or not. And I believe that they'll punish them. It'll be some like millions of dollars, draft picks, stuff like that. Maybe they'll be vacated of their draft picks for a couple years or whatever. It'll be something that kind of hurts the organization if they do learn that this did happen and they were trying to circumvent the salary cap. So to make an example out of it, something will happen. But to your point, I definitely am not offended by this because I think these professional organizations look for creative ways to circumvent salary caps all the time. The only leagues that don't do it are leagues that don't have salary caps. So I'm pretty sure you're not going to find any of this in Major League Baseball because they don't have to deal with it because there's no salary cap. But when you're talking about the National Hockey League or the NFL or the NBA, where they're trying to institute a hard cap in order to create parity, even though it fails because it doesn't create parity. The same teams are the same ones winning every year anyway. You're going to have to figure out creative ways to pay a free agent who's a superstar what they want to make, despite the fact that you're being hamstrung by a salary cap, which dictates you can only pay but so much. So this to me is professional sports business as usual, as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree.
And I feel as though the greatest impact of this can be, to your point, if other people like Pablo Torre decide to look at what other teams are doing in a similar fashion, because I would imagine most teams are doing this stuff.
I would imagine.
You can't put together a competitive team and pay all these guys all of this money if you're not finding other creative ways to line their pockets so that their annual earnings from playing basketball meet whatever expectation they want it to meet, despite the fact that their game checks don't line up with it. They still want to be able to make that money anyway. And look, man, a healthy Kawhi Leonard in his prime is a player who you would think is earning more on a per annual basis than what his current contract is. Even though he did sign that max, what was that, last year or whenever he signed that extension? I feel like the only reason why that money makes sense is because he's hurt all the time. But a healthy Kawhi Leonard is a guy who makes way more than that, I think. So the fact that he's making whatever his extension was, and I'll look it up here real quick, to me said that he's got to be recouping on that in some other kind of way, because on the surface, a healthy Kawhi is making more money than that on a per annual basis. So I think every team is doing this. It is what it is. This is just more shiesty professional sports dealings. And I guess the rest of these organizations better hope and pray that there aren't other sleuths who decide to figure out what it is that they're doing respectively.
Yeah, man, I think that, and I agree, bro. And I think that this is just something that goes on throughout sports, as you mentioned. I'm a big college football dude, and before NIL, there were programs that it didn't make sense, the levels of recruits that they would get year in and year out. You know, if any other school were getting those levels of recruits, because they have a rich history too, and let's say that school was getting high levels of recruits, there'd be something out there that they were cheating, and it was like okay, well, what about Alabama? What about Tennessee? What about Ohio State? What about Ohio State? Ohio State never cheats. Give me a break, bro. But so there was always these programs that were doing what it took in order to get away with it. I don't know how those bylaws work with the, how to go about it, pay your dues. Like, I don't know how that works, but schools like Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, and, the good old boy, blue bloods that know how to play the game, much like Michigan, just, caught cheating. It had to be brought to the NCAA's attention that this guy was doing this weird stuff. This would have been, whatever. So this was again much like this situation where there was feet on the ground that were blowing this thing up, and then the NCAA had to do something. But what did they do to Michigan? Nothing. The University of Miami has paid 20-something years for them doing what all other schools do. We had to pay a 20-year debt. He was like, oh, Miami trash for 20 years. Yeah, guess why? And so, but there's schools that don't need to pay. And so I say that stuff to say is that there is a network, there's an understanding, there's a whole situation in this sports world where guys know that they can get the under the table money, and it's done through situations like this, nonprofits and stuff. Oh, Kawhi Leonard, they didn't do this, but Kawhi Leonard is such a philanthropist. He gives his free time to work with a tree hugging company. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's all cap, it's just a free check for him. And honestly, I don't know how it works in California when you're working for a nonprofit or whatever the hell type of situation. Maybe that's tax free. Maybe it's tax less, where he can try to recoup some from that dumbass state tax they got going on out there. Who knows what that whole rigmarole was about? But Kawhi ain't the only one, like I mentioned. He probably ain't the only one on that team.
Right. Yeah.
So, all in all, yeah, man, it's good for me to know as a sports guy to know that these type of things go on. That explains some of these dumb rosters that we've seen over the years. Was like, how y'all afford that? Big three, my Miami team possibly. You know what I'm saying? Something's going on there. So yeah, man, funny stuff. But yeah, I think this would be more of a situation of like, because you're right, there's no criminal law broken here. This is all just NBA, and of course the NBA, when it investigates itself, let's see what they come up with. But yeah, funny stuff, man. But I'm glad I know this. I can't believe I was that naive to not even think that they do this, but clearly they do.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, they're doing that with CEOs in major corporations. See,
that's right.
You got CEOs who have like, in addition to their base salary, they have like shares in some other stock or something that they get. And so that kind of helps to line their pockets and meet their annual earnings expectations. So this stuff goes on replete throughout corporate America. And professional sports is indeed corporate America. Make no mistake about it.
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard's contract, so his extension, he signed in January last year, 3 years, $153 million. So that is a lot of money. That's $50 million a year.
Jeez.
So, I'll take back what I said about he should be paid more because that's a lot. 50 million per year for 3 years. That's a lot of money.
Especially if you're not playing.
Correct. Right. And plus, for him to be hurt as much as he is, for sure. But still, we see these dumb kind of contracts. Look at what SGA got. Dumb contracts.
I didn't see this year's round of contracts.
It's disgusting. I'm pretty sure it's the richest contract in NBA history for sure. It might be the richest. Well, I don't want to say because in Major League Baseball contracts get kind of dumb too. Yeah, but SGA's contract is amongst the richest ever in the history of professional sports.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a bag, bro.
Yeah,
that's
dumb contracts. So there's no way that these guys are making this and you're able to put a roster together to compete. I don't care. I mean, and Oklahoma City, they really do care. They got a good scouting department. They got a good GM. They got a well-oiled machine. But you still need to pay people. And when you're paying those 3 guys what they're paying them, hard to keep guys together, but they'll still figure out a way to manage it. And I find it hard to believe that other guys aren't getting creative ways of having their income supplemented because of how much money is being allocated towards their 3 main players. So it is what it is, man. This is just business as usual. The only thing that I think about when I think about this is we are 11 years removed from the big 3, and we can't figure out a way to line one of these free agents' pockets to get somebody down here.
Come on, bro.
Figure it out, Pat Riley and Mickey Arison. Get a shell company together for one of these free agents and get them down here. What are y'all doing?
They don't fit in the culture, bro. They're not culture guys. They're not culture fits.
And that's why we can't win. That's why.
Hey, man. And for the people out there that didn't take their time to Google SGA's contract, he's making $71.2 million a year. A year, bro. That is insane. Congratulations to that young man. He doesn't have to work another day in his life. After those contracts.
It's egregious.
That is phenomenal.
That is an absurd amount of money, bro.
Oh man, Jesus! I don't think I've heard that much per year for anybody before.
That's what I'm saying. With you. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It might be the richest contract ever. But don't quote me on that because I'm not sure about that.
Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this, but I just think that in all likelihood they'll get hit with something, fines, vacated draft picks, all that good stuff is probably what will happen. But shouts out to Kawhi, man. I got a lot of respect for Kawhi's game. The guy just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I don't know what he's got going on as a person, man, but he's getting a check, man. So shout out to Kawhi, man. He ain't on my team doing that foolishness, so I don't care.
Right.
But I never had a problem with Kawhi. I just think he's just him. And,
he's just there. He's just there.
Yeah, he's just existing, and that don't bother me. So shout out to Kawhi, man.
Right. Yeah. All right, y'all. We're done. Another fantastic stream in the books. This was a good one. Major shouts out to everybody who tuned in for the stream, and major shouts out in advance to everybody who checks out our video uploads and hits that like button and leaves those comments. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Check us out on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach, as well as on TikTok. Same thing, ConApproach. I'm on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Check us out on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify if you are so inclined and want to check us out audio style. Until next time, folks, thank you for supporting our brand of logical content. Think for yourself. Don't be a group thinker. Have a mind of your own. And until next time, go Florida State Seminoles. I'll see you.
Yeah, I had to sneak that in there. Hey, man, the name is Dogon SS, by the way. Skr. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, FanDuel, all right, X. Hey, man, there's a social media platform out there, Dogon_SS. We'll be out there. All right, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, and all that good jazz. And as I say every week, everybody, all right, we greatly appreciate you guys watching, all right, participating, all right, hey, sharing the video. Come on, guys. Without you, there would be no us. So we really appreciate you guys for participating, liking, sharing, and subscribing, of course. All right. And as I always say, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it plug, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, I've got more rings than Robert Ory still. And we'll see y'all in the next episode. Skr. Yeah.
All right. So according to Perplexity, SGA's contract is in fact not the richest contract in NBA history. It's actually Jason Tatum's 5-year, $314 million deal.
Oh, that's right. That boy did sign that.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And so I think per year, SGA's might be the most, but overall total value, I think it's Jason Tatum's. Yeah.
I'll give him that. But still, man, hey, shouts out to SGA and Tatum, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't mad when these dudes get these bags. It's just insane how big these bags are getting.
It's the amount. Yeah, it's the amount. Yeah.
Shoot.
All right, y'all. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you later. Peace.
Man, go Canes, man. Skr. Yeah. But we going all the way this year. Maybe.